Most people grow up thinking that the ultimate goal is to accumulate more cash. Save more, earn more, stack more. We're taught that having a bigger bank balance equals safety, success, and even status. But the wealthy play by a different set of rules. In fact, they avoid keeping large amounts of cash in the bank at all. And it's not because they don't have access to it. It's because they understand one fundamental principle. Money that sits still loses value. In this video, I want to unpack that idea. Why wealthy people don't hoard cash, what they do instead, and how you can apply the same logic to your own finances, whether you're investing in property, running a business, or just getting started. Because this mindset shift, seeing cash not as a trophy but as a tool, can radically change how you build and protect your wealth. Let's start with the most common belief out there, that money in the bank is safe. That's what most people are conditioned to believe. It's liquid, it's visible, it's insured, and it gives you a sense of control. But the moment you look beneath the surface, that sense of safety starts to unravel. Why? Well, because of inflation. Even now, with UK inflation down from its 10% high to around about 4%, you're still losing that 4% of your buying power every year just by doing nothing. That means if you've got £100,000 sitting idle, you'll only be able to buy £96,000 worth of goods and services this time next year. And that's assuming inflation stays flat, which, as we've seen, is far from guaranteed. Wealthy people are acutely aware of this. They understand that the biggest risk isn't always losing money. Sometimes it's the slow, invisible erosion of value. It's easy to underestimate because it's not dramatic. It doesn't come with a market crash headline, but year on year, it compounds. It chips away at your wealth, and worst of all, it does it in silence. So how do the wealthy think differently? Well, they see cash for what it really is, a means, not an end. They don't pile up cash to feel good about their net wealth. They keep just enough to stay agile, to cover operating costs, seize time-sensitive opportunities, or protect against genuine emergencies. But beyond that, they deploy it intentionally. And this part is critical. It's not just about chasing returns. It's about avoiding erosion. It's about preserving wealth, not just about growing it. That's why high net worth individuals tend to move capital into assets that either produce income, hedge against inflation, reduce tax drag, or all three at once. Now, these types of assets they choose vary, and they're not all complicated. It might be residential property, single lets, HMOs, apartment blocks. It might be equity in a business that they understand, or a pension structure that's working in the background. Some put capital into trusts, index funds, commodities, even private debt or lending vehicles that generate passive income. The principle is the same. Money must move. Let's ground this a bit more. Take property investors, for example. If you've just refinanced a property and released equity, what happens next? For many, the funds just sit there waiting for the right deal, the right opportunity, the right moment. But during that waiting period, inflation doesn't pause. Your capital is losing ground while it's parked. Now, I'm not saying you should rush to deploy money into anything that moves. Being strategic is smart, but so is recognizing that unallocated capital still carries a cost. Smart investors will park that waiting capital in high interest business accounts, money market funds, or even short-term lending products that give them some form of return while keeping their money somewhat accessible. Because again, every pound needs a purpose. Let's talk about emotion, because this is where most people get stuck. There's comfort in seeing a large balance. It's safe. It feels like you're in control. But that's emotional control, not financial control. The truth is, control comes from knowing where your money is, what it's doing, and how quickly you can reposition it when the market shifts. Wealthy people don't just want liquidity. They want flexibility, strategy, intent. And here's something else that separates how the wealthy think. They structure their money. Rather than holding large personal balances, many move funds into limited companies, holding companies, trusts, or pensions. Why? Well, to reduce tax drag, to protect assets, to ring-fence risk. It's not about being flashy, it's about thinking long-term. Wealth is built not just through income, but through tax efficiency and through strategic allocation. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, that's great, but I'm not there yet. Maybe you're building your first few deals. Maybe you've got one income stream and not a huge buffer. And that's exactly why this mindset shift matters now, not later. Wealthy people didn't wait until they were rich to start thinking like this. They became wealthy because they adopted this mindset early. They treated every pound with intention. They made their capital work. They asked better questions. Not how much can I save, but what role is this money playing? Even small shifts like moving 10% of your idle reserves into productive assets start that compounding effect. You don't need a £1 million portfolio to think like a millionaire. You just need to stop treating cash as the finish line. So what can you do right now? Well, start with an audit. Look at your personal accounts, your business accounts, any retained profits sitting idle. Ask yourself, is this money doing a job? Is it hedging against inflation, generating returns, reducing future tax? Or is it just sitting there because I'm more comfortable seeing it than using it? If the answer is the latter, that's okay, but it's time to start shifting. Build your liquidity buffer, maybe 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. Keep that lean but flexible, then start allocating the rest. Don't wait for the perfect deal or the perfect moment. Progress beats perfection. Even if your first step is just a small one, it counts. At the end of the day, the wealthy don't keep cash in the bank because they've learned a hard truth. The bank doesn't make you rich. Movement does. Allocation does. Intention does. Every pound that just sits there is quietly going backwards, but every pound you put to work starts to build momentum. So whether you're actively investing or just trying to get smarter with how you manage your money, adopt the mindset now. Start treating cash as a tool, not the prize. Play the game the wealthy are playing: structure, control, and purposeful allocation. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you for being a subscriber. I'll see you again on the next one.